John Lennon of the Beatles once stated, "There are two basic motivating forces, fear and love. When we are afraid, we pull back from life. When we are in love, we open to all that life has to offer with passion, excitement, and acceptance." Although the Beatles broke up almost 5 decades ago, their impact and popularity are still apparent today as they still currently influence music culture. For example, an article from CNBC from October of 2019 states that in late September, the group reissued the 50th anniversary of its 1969 album Abbey Road, which hit number 3 on the Billboard 200 in the US and the top spot in the UK. Although you may not know much about the Beatles right offhand, you may be familiar with some of their most popular songs, such as Hey Jude, All You Need Is Love, and Here Comes the Sun. First, I will discuss how the Beatles came to be, then the impact of the band in society, and lastly, their remaining legacy today. So let's start where it all began. Who are the Beatles exactly? IMDb.com states that the Beatles were an English rock band that arguably became the most successful act of the 20th century. They contributed to film, music, literature, art, and fashion, making a continuous impact on the popular culture and the lifestyle of several generations. In 1957, John Lennon met Paul McCartney in Liverpool. Paul was invited by John to join a band that John was already in called the Quarrymen. And a few years later, George Harrison joined the group as well. Then John Lennon dreamed up the band's final name, the Beatles, which is a mix of beat and the insect, the beetle. In 1960, the Beatles toured in Hamburg, Germany, marking a symbolic beginning of a long and successful career. There, they were joined by Ringo Starr, completing the group, which would later become one of the most famous bands in the history of music. In 1963, the band recorded the album Please Please Me. Their sensational tour in the US began with 3 TV shows at the Ed Sullivan Theater in New York. This was in February of 1964. After that, the Beatles endured several years of extremely intensive recording, filming, and touring. Not only did the Beatles have an enormous impact on music, their cultural and social impact changed American society for the better. In fact, the Beatles played a part in diminishing racial segregation in America, believe it or not. The band refused to play in arenas that were segregated. According to an article on Express.com, contracts from the earliest US tours in the 1960s show that John, Paul, George, and Ringo were the first foreign group to refuse to perform at whites-only venues. John was so furious when he discovered that the Gator Bowl Stadium in Jacksonville, Florida would be racially segregated that he issued a press statement saying the group would not appear unless black fans were allowed to sit where they wanted to. So now that you understand how they impacted the world, I will discuss how their legacy is still significant today. According to the InfoPlease website, 50 years after the release of their first single, the Beatles continue to make an impact. The evidence of that impact can be found in current musical artists, as well as the number of books still written about the band. There is a new book called The Beatles, Get Back, and it's due to be published in the fall of 2021 due to the coronavirus. Films inspired by and based on the Beatles are still being made. A movie called Yesterday, a film about the Beatles, came out in 2019. Even today, the Beatles' influence can still be felt in aspects of pop culture and show no signs of slowing down. Overall, even if you're not a fan of the Beatles' music, it is apparent that the band has created a lasting impact on modern day American culture. If you previously did not know anything about the Beatles, now you understand how they came to be as a band, some of their cultural aspects in America, and how they still remain a popular topic even in modern day pop culture. Thank you.